Okay, well, not a bad night's sleep, considering that was my first night in a hostel ever in my life. I guess I might sleep better tonight because I'll be more tired anyway. But anyway, today's shirt is this one, and today we're in Granada. So we're going to head on up the hill to La Fuente del Avellanos, which is a fountain called the Fountain of the Hazelnuts. So it is a truly beautiful morning, and we're going to head on up the hill past this statue who looks like he's kind of dabbing. And I think we're going to the top of that hill up there. So we are going to La Fuente del Avellano, which is the Fountain of the Hazelnut. I've often said I wouldn't like to live in a city. However, if it was a city like this one, I think I could probably easily tolerate it. Granada Old Town is a series of lanes and little squares full of restaurants, funny little shops, and lots and lots of variety, and it's really great. Okay, so yep, that's where we're going, up this way. Now I think we just go up a little lane here and then up a winding path that goes up this hill. That's the Alhambra up there, palace. Got a view of, almost a view of this from the front door of the hostel, quite fantastic. Anyway, let's head on up the hill. And I think it's this way. And one thing I found quite interesting last night is the little cobbled streets of old Granada. You'd think they were just pedestrian. They don't really look wide enough for any kind of vehicle, and yet while you're walking around there are buses and cars tearing about, sharing the space with pedestrians. It's kind of crazy. Well, it's nice to be able to enjoy some of the colours of autumn here in Spain. I thought I was going to miss this. I didn't expect there to be quite this much vegetation in southern Spain. Never visited this area before. It's a much greener and more vegetated area than Murcia. Anyway, I'm going to turn the camera off now because I'm just going to be out of breath going up this hill. Just had to stop and look at this. Will you look at that? And we've got goosefoot growing on the side of the path here in southern Spain. This is my old friend goosefoot, edible wild vegetable that I picked back at home. Anyway, onward. Let's just stop every now and again. Well, partly to get my breath back, but also to admire our surroundings. Fantastic view across the city of Granada from here. I've now got to walk up this steep path. I think that's the way we go anyway. Or maybe it's that way, not sure. We'll find out. I'm going to put the camera down now, because this path is actually quite steep and slippy, and I have a feeling I may need to use my hands if I slip and fall. Wow, look at that. Sunrise over Granada. That was worth getting up early for. This is some climb. I'm getting too old for this. Wow. What a view. So if you do fall off the path, try not to fall off the path. I don't think I'd be able to stop myself if I went down there. I'd end up stuck in a bush or dead. So again, I'm going to put the camera away here because I think my concentration on where I'm putting my feet is probably more important than capturing video footage of the impressive drop-off at the side of the path. Okay, now where? Up there maybe? Or around there maybe. Which way is that water flowing? Okay, that way is upstream. That's good. I didn't fancy climbing that hill there. Just wow. And I have a feeling that might be the fountain up there. So I think I've got to go around this path some more. And I could take the steep path up this scree here. Not going to do it. Don't fancy my footing on that. So we'll follow this path round we are heading upstream along this little leat here, so we'll just follow that round. That's got to take us uphill, hasn't it? Okay, now there's a reason why this path has become treacherous and almost impassable. In fact, we ran out of path in a couple of places back here, and that's because I've overshot my mark. I have ended up going past La Fuente, and I'm walking now along a path that is really only suitable for mountain goats. Now, I've been called a goat before, but I'm not as sure-footed as a mountain goat, that's for sure. So I'm going to head back, which does mean I've got to traverse those dangerous bits again, but I think it's only going to get worse as we go further along. Let's just stop and have a look at this while we're here. Look at this, we've got a little toadflax or snapdragon species here. I love these little plants with their little mouth that opens. And when the bee goes in there to pollinate it, you can see the stamens deposit pollen on its back. Anyway, tiny little bit of nature right there while we're in the middle of our walk. Now this plant here also, this is white bryony. This is a relative of cucumbers. And it has these berries which are poisonous to humans, but I'm sure something eats them, probably birds. And it's like a vine that grows up through the bush. So the bush here is not producing the berries. There's a dead vine there that has the berries on it. Anyway, let's get back round the hillside. I'm getting soaking wet from the dew on this grass, and I'll show you one of these bits I just had to traverse, but I am going to have to put the camera away when I do that because it was pretty hairy. This is not the worst example, but here we go. The path kind of slopes quite steeply, and I've just got to leg it across there and maybe hang on to these bushes as I do, because otherwise I'm going to fall down this steep slope here. Spoilers, if you're watching this video, that means I didn't fall down this slope and die, because if you're watching this, that means I made it back to civilization to edit this video. So all's well that ends well. And it's not so much that the path is narrow or that it's overhung by bushes, or that it has an adverse camber. It's the combination of all three of those factors, which means getting around this corner is a bit of a gamble, and I'm a risk-averse kind of person. I'm not really in my element here. So let's just pause a while and have a look at this. Look, it's an oak tree. It's an evergreen oak species, not sure which one. I'll try to identify this when I get back to base. But there we go, little spiny acorn cups with acorns in them and tiny little prickly holly-like leaves. Okay, let's see if we can get past this bit without falling down the hill there and dying, and then we'll get back up to the fountain. Yeah, that was just a mistake going along that bit there, really. Should not have done that, but never mind. Back on the relatively level and safer path. It's interesting because walking up here I didn't feel like this was a very safe path, and compared to the one I've just been on, this is a stroll in the park. Now here's an interesting thing, and I know you love to see interesting things. This is a bush we looked at on the walk when we went up a dry riverbed, and this is a mastic tree. It's a relative of pistachios. I managed to identify it after my walk earlier in the week, and these are the fruits. And so this is a pistachio relative. It has resinous sap that I believe has been used for all kinds of purposes, like glue, chewing gum, all kinds of things. Except, look, these are the fruit, right? So, what's that? And that? And that? Well, what these are, I believe, is these are galls. So this is a parasitic wasp or fly or something has laid its eggs on this plant and caused these things to gall and caused these things to grow these abnormal structures that look almost like fruits. And inside of those fake fruits, the insect larva will be munching away at this plant, getting itself big enough to pupate and emerge as an adult insect. At least that's my theory anyway. We'll see if I'm right about that. At the time of filming this, that's pure conjecture. However, it's my best guess at this point, because obviously that is not the natural fruit of this plant. Those little berry-like things are. So these must be galls of some sort. How interesting. We'll look it up when we get home and we'll see if we can figure out what kind of a thing it is in there. In my heart of hearts, I hope it's a moth. I love moths. Okay, it turns out I might be a bit of a half-wit here. Despite the lovely view, this is not the right location. I've climbed up the hill in vain. Because I'm all the way up the hill here, and according to my map on my phone, the fountain is down there somewhere. And I think that path down there, way down there, is the actual path I should be on. Never mind, this has been an interesting walk up alongside this little leat here, up the hill. That's my exercise for the day. That gives me an excuse to go and eat some lovely pastries this afternoon. Anyway, let's head on back down the hill and see if we can join that path down there and see if we can actually get to this fountain. It's possible that this steep path here might take me straight down there, but no thanks. I think we'll go back the way we came, and I think we'll stay on that little path that was made up and get back down on the proper path and go see the fountain. Now, while we're heading back down the hill to try to find the path to the fountain, I'll try and relate as much as I can remember of the local legend. It goes something like this: that there was a fountain in a little bit of woodland down there, in between some hazel trees, and this fountain sometimes produced sweet water and sometimes bitter water. And apparently it's because there was a fairy living in a cave, and when she was sad she cried into the water and it made bitter water, and when she was happy she didn't cry and the waters were sweet, and everyone who drank the water would be happy or sad depending on whether the fairy was happy or sad. And then when the Catholics came and conquered the land here, the fairy went away, and what was left was a bittersweet taste, which was her last emotion before she left. So I think I got that kind of right. I'll put a link in the video description to a page that describes it better than I just did. There's a little bit more to the story than that, but that's the gist of it anyway. Anyway, let's see if we can find that fountain. Okay, this is much harder work coming down than it was going up. This is really killing my knees. Oh, and it actually seems even more slippy going down this steep path, even though there are steps. There are sloping steps. Let's just stir my knees in, but I think we're nearly there. Oh, let's stop for a break and enjoy once again the amazing view of the old town. Ooh, well, there it is. Down there is the path that I think we should have just stayed on. Let's get back down there and carry on along and see where it takes us. Oh, yeah. Oh, flippin' heck. That was a trek, and enjoyable though the view was from all the way up there, My legs are killing me now. I could do with just a little bit of a stroll along here on the level. Oh, comparative level. Okay, so handy tip then, if you are visiting Granada and you're looking for La Fuente del Avellano, it's not up that path there. There's some interesting stuff up that path there, and if you're up to the climb, where you need to be wearing some stout shoes if you're going to go up that way. But the fountain is, I believe, this way. Oh look, a bench. I'm going to sit down a bit, enjoy the view, and just catch my breath and let my legs recover before we head on to the fountain. Okay. Oi. Whew. So we've got fig trees, we've got a variety of things that are very different to what we get at home, including that pistachio, or that mastic tree with its big galls. You can see some of them on there actually, the big red insect galls. And then we've got a hawthorn tree. Definitely hawthorn, just like we get at home. And I have also seen along here brambles, and so it's a little bit late for blackberries, but here we got brambles, look. Slightly different species, I would say, to the brambles we've got at home, but those are without a doubt blackberries of some sort. And we've seen some massive trailing bramble vines, which would be just fantastic for making my bramble baskets, but we're not going to do that today. Okay, now I think this might be it up ahead. This looks to be some kind of a terminus for this path. Let's have a look and see if this is the thing we're looking for. It is indeed. Okay, the plaque actually identifies the name of the angel. It's funny that Google Translate translated that as fairy. I think, well, maybe there's a little bit of confusion there. So we've got the modern plaque there. And there is an older one there actually, which looks like it probably says the same thing. Not really very sure. And there's the fountain. So, well, I think a lot of people come up here and fill their water bottles with the water from the fountain in the hope that it will be a blessing or healing. I'm not actually going to drink any of it because, well, this water is said to have a bittersweet taste, which to me probably means it might have minerals in there that maybe I don't want in my kidneys. However, I am going to splash a little bit of that on my face. So here we go, the fountain of the Hazelnut. Yeah, that'll do. Would you like some of this? It just occurred to me that I am using my Armour 2S waterproof camera here, so why don't you have some of this water splashed in your faces, and I hope it brings you good luck or a blessing or whatever you're hoping for. There we go. I hope you enjoyed that. Now this little segment was filmed on my way back down. I was going to say that in all of my way up the hill and back down to the fountain of the hazelnut, I didn't see a single hazel tree. But here we go. This is a hazel tree here, so logic and semantics is satisfied. So all that remains is for me to thank you for joining me on this journey today, on our kind of full start up the hill, which was interesting even though it was exhausting, but then to the fountain of the hazelnut, La Fuente del Avellano. So thank you so much for staying with me throughout this video. I am tremendously grateful for your attention and your patronage. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.